The Chronicle of Narnia series still doing big box office, Norma.
It really is. People love a book-turned-movie. The third movie is out now. It's called Voyage of the Dawn Treader. I've always wanted one of those.
This takes kids, it gives kids the magic of not reading.
Oh,
I'm just kidding. I think it actually brings to life what may be in their mind. I think I'm being cynical.
It makes them want to read the books. That's the whole point.
Kidding.
I learned more about the series when I talked by satellite to actor Ben Barnes. He plays Prince Caspian, and he was in London for the interview. Take a look. Okay, when I was growing up, I used to read the Chronicles. I read the Chronicles of Narnia. But I have to say, the way that the films are, I never imagined them as they are on the screen. Talk about being able to be in this third now installation of the Chronicles of Narnia collection. I mean, what it's like to kind of play in this. And this is a 3D movie, isn't it?
It is. It's been transferred into 3D sort of after the fact, but I think with all the kind of dragon sea serpent battles and the treasure troves and magical sort of landscapes and seascapes, I think it's something that works really well for the film. I'm sorry they don't kind of come across on screen how you imagine them, but that's the nature of doing sort of adaptations of very well loved literature. I think is that, you know, it's not going to be the visual representation of how everyone imagined it, but that's, you know, I think what they did is they tried to stick as close as possible and take a lot of inspiration from the original illustrations. Pauline Baynes did them in the original books in the 50s, and so I think a lot of the imagery of this particular film, maybe more than the first two, has something that feels a bit memorable and nostalgic about it. Certainly for me, when I read them sort of 21 years ago, this film, when I watched it, gave me that sort of feeling and reminded me of reading it, which I think is the really magical thing. You play Prince Caspian, and for people who don't know who he is, why don't you give everyone kind of a primer? Well, Prince Caspian in the last film was the orphaned prince. His evil uncle had murdered his parents, and he was forced to run away because he found out his uncle wanted to kill him to get his throne. And he came across and discovered that all the Narnian creatures and the four Pevensies. In this film, he's been the king now for 3 years, having overcome Miraz, and we find the two youngest Pevensies in the ocean as he's on this voyage to find the 7 lost lords of Narnia. And so they gang up together and they go on this voyage and encounter islands with pools that turn things to gold, and invisible duffel puds and mermaids and dragons and sea serpents and star women, and it's very sort of fantastical and great thing to be a part of. You know, it's something because we love these movies, we love these fantasy movies, it seems. You know, we live in a world with a lot of awful realities in some cases. Do you think these movies that are, you know, especially now that they're all in 3D, movies of this genre just kind of take our minds off of life for a little while? Is that the best possible outcome of these movies, do you think? I think absolutely, but I think these stories have endured because they not only have, you know, C.S. Lewis's epic imagination and they're sort of wonderful stories if you're 8, but also I think they have very healthy kind of moral messages to them. I mean, Narnia for me represents adolescence and that fantastic time of your life where anything is possible and your imagination can run wild and you learn so much in that period of your life, and that really, I think, what Narnia is. So we have the characters of Lucy and Edmund and Eustace kind of stepping out the shadows and overcoming their jealousies and insecurities and becoming, you know, starting the journey towards adulthood. And I think the combination of those two things is why the stories have endured. And I think, but I think, you know, as you say, that fantastic setting and context for it really does take our, you know, escapism is very important. Oh. Well, I'm so glad someone had a great adolescence, because I hit adolescence like a brick wall. I'm talking braces, zits, puffy hair. Well, these are the challenges that we overcome, you see. They're just represented differently in Narnia. What's next for you as an actor, for fans of yours who want to see you in other things? Well, at the moment, I'm on stage every night in the West End of London doing a play called Birdsong. And then I have a couple of films coming out, one of which, Killing Bono, hopefully out in April, which is a ridiculous 80s comedy in which I play a very struggling rock star who happened to go to school with Bono. And Bono is the bane of his existence, and so obviously he has to try and take him out.
That is so awesome. Okay, Ben Barnes, it is so much fun talking to you. You are
lovely to talk to you too.
Yeah, you're obviously, you know, you're one of those rising stars we're going to be seeing a lot more of on stage and on the screen as well, which is wonderful. You play Prince Caspian in the new Chronicles of Narnia, The Voyage of the Dawn Treader. I love that. Love that name for that ship. We thank you so much for being with us.
My pleasure.